Hi there. It looks like I'm gonna have a guest in this chair. It's me and Wolf.
Molly, the person who talks about things.
I feel like my hair looks like really strange, but in a way that I want to own. Mostly because I've been eating Dove chocolates all day, and one of them said own a bad hair day, and I'm like, okay, I will. I'm not superstitious about a lot of things, but I am superstitious about Dove chocolates, and I listen to them. I also had a Dove chocolate that told me to give a compliment, so you're beautiful. I realize that a lot of the videos of myself are pretty negative. I'm just sometimes complaining or feel in a rut at the time, so I'm just like talking through it, and I don't really talk about the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes, but I'm a converting optimist, and I'm trying really hard to think positively and not be as self-critical and just critical in general. And I don't want to be as hard on myself or as hard on others. I feel like life would be a lot better and easier if I'm just a little bit more relaxed and forgiving. Can you tell that I'm like picking my words and being very careful? I should have a script. But I actually am going to read some things. So this is some advice to help in case you felt just sad at the end of the last one. I'm going to read some of the comments that were helpful, and maybe they'll help you as well if you are shy or feeling in a rut in some sort of social environment. Your vid makes sense to me. What is your fave color? That's not advice, but I do find it interesting that when you ask people their favorite color, it says a good bit about them, like how they respond to it. I found a lot of my extroverted friends, if you ask what their favorite color is, they'll say blue. Not necessarily just blue, but actually a lot of times. But they just have a solid answer. And a lot of the introverts I know think about it or have specific favorite colors, like specific shades of that color, which I think is a pretty interesting thing. I also don't really like that question, but Cass, I liked you, so I told you. It's just kind of a confusing question to me, because I feel like my whole life I've been saying a color because I'm supposed to, and people want you to be confident, right? So it's like, what's your favorite color? And you're like, purple. And you want to own it, and you think, and then I wonder how many times, like if you keep saying purple, then it becomes purple, and it was never really purple, so it started to kind of blow my mind, but it is purple. That's one of them. Okay, so someone recommended reading the book, The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Apparently, it's a life-changing book with symbolism, and I look forward to reading that. I am almost finished with the book Quiet by Susan Cain, and this book has been very empowering and helpful to understanding. I'm a highly sensitive person, which I learned about that term in this book. I have naturally formed the habit of restraining my thoughts. A thoughtless word hardly ever escaped my tongue or pen. Experience has taught me that silence is part of the spiritual discipline of a votary of truth. We find so many people impatient to talk. All this talking can hardly be said to be of any benefit to the world. It is so much waste of time. My shyness has been in reality my shield and buckler. It has allowed me to grow. It has helped me in my discernment of truth. Page 200 of Quiet. So, spoken from Gandhi. That's very helpful to me, because I do choose my words, and I choose when to say them, and I'm pretty careful. I want to say what I mean. Sometimes it makes me feel stuck, but in a lot of ways it can be looked at as an admirable trait rather than a detriment. I love this advice. This is from Eric with a K. Hey Molly, I don't know if it's going to be a good tip or not, but sometimes it's good to pretend that people don't really matter, as if they're NPCs in a game or something. I had to look up NPC. It's non-player character in video games and stuff. Like deciding just not to care what they'll respond. I mean, as long as you can stand for what you plan to say and now you have the right to change your mind afterwards if it turns out wrong, it might just be a bit easier not hesitating, you know? So I found that to be very helpful, and I naturally do that sometimes where I see everyone else as robots and it's just like, they don't matter. Neither do I in the reality. What is reality? Okay, it helps. Okay, this is positive. I'm not gonna go I'm gonna try to just be positive. That helps. It's helpful. But you still have to be social sometimes. Those robots talk too much. Acting how people expect you to act based on the first impression they had of you is disingenuous. Just be you and deal with the consequences. Live dangerously. Say dangerously wrong if you want. Just do it. He didn't say that. Share the thoughtful, insightful, silly, deep, rambling weirdo that you are, even with the people you think wouldn't appreciate it. F them if they don't. There are tons of people that will love the authentic you. I think that applies to everyone. Except for the deeply evil people. I mean, if you advise a murderer to just be himself, or like really go for it, like imagine a murderer watching inspirational videos. That's no good. Or a murderer doing affirmations like, yeah, just you're awesome, just kill it, follow your dreams, kill them, all of them. So this guy advised to just have good intentions and express yourself instead of listening to the voice in your head. And that's something that before I even saw that comment, I was journaling about. Let me read part of my journal for you. I was thinking of changing around my actions and words through changing the thought process that goes on during it, because I have automatic negative thoughts that I need to adjust. And this might help me with my social anxiety. So for example, when I'm thinking, why am I standing like this? Like in my head. Instead, switch it to, I am standing. When I think, that sounded funny, when you say something and it keeps, echoing in your head. Switch to, that sounded, I spoke. And then, why can't I talk? What should I say? Switch to, I'm a good listener. Because there are a lot of talkers. I like talkers. I like being around people who have insight and great things to say. But don't get down on yourself if you're not a talker naturally, or if you're in an environment where you just adapt, where you take on the role as the listener. Because that's okay. And people need a listener. And people like a listener. So anyways, I'm trying to take out the negative and the self-criticism and working on just acknowledging what is, which is that I am. I exist. I'm moving. I'm talking. I'm healthy right now. This is great. Then there's also the grateful journal, which helps writing positive things at the end of the day. So the last things in your head before you fall asleep aren't like, oh wow, that exchange earlier was very uncomfortable for everyone involved. I hope that in some way was helpful to you. Really, you could have just gone to the Infj on Shy, episode 17, and read the comment section, but I just picked out the parts that were helpful advice and also added some of my own. But if you feel shy or quiet and haven't read the book Quiet, I recommend that. And Grateful Journal, affirmations work, but not if you're a murderer. This is a summary, by the way. And realizing that you don't matter, and neither does anyone around you. So keep all those things in mind. Maybe go on a walk, especially if it's nice out, and you should be okay. You are okay. You're okay. You're not great, but you're okay. There were a lot of times in this video when I was interrupting myself and saying little words in the middle of my sentences, and I feel like it made it harder to listen. So if you agree, then why don't you like this video? Just kidding. Nothing matters. You matter.